Greetings and welcome to another CVMSDC Lunch and Learn. Our special guests today are Ken Lewis and Bobby Robinson of Nexsen Pruet. I'm your event producer, Taya Bolton, and I'm with the PR Pros team. Welcome to another session. Before we get started, I'd like to cover a bit of housekeeping with you. All of our audience participant lines are muted. However, we do want you to engage, so please, we invite you to submit questions during the webinar using the question box feature in the GoToWebinar dashboard on your screen. Also, this session is being recorded and will be available for you to review and share with your colleagues post-event. You can view the recording from the CVMSDC website at cvmsdc.org/webinars. And now I'm pleased to introduce our CVMSDC President and CEO, Dominique, to open up today's session.
Thank you so much, Taya. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I am so excited to have this Lunch and Learn session today with one of our newest corporate partners, Nexsen Pruet. Today, we're going to have guest speakers from Nexsen Pruet, Ken Lewis and Bobby Robinson, who will share with us business building techniques for minority businesses. So I'm just going to start with their bios, and then I'm going to get into a little bit of an overview on CVMSDC before we get into the actual presentation. Ken Lewis, who will be joining us shortly, is actually a partner in the Raleigh office of Nexsen Pruet, a full-service corporate law firm with over 190 attorneys and offices throughout North and South Carolina. Ken has 3 decades of experience in a wide range of corporate transactional and security matters, including mergers and acquisitions, which we're going to talk about today, strategic alliances, and security offerings, as well as in the drafting and negotiation of domestic and international commercial contracts. His clients span an array of industries. Ken has also served as strategic counsel and advised clients in matters involving government relations, litigation strategy, and economic development. Ken is a native of North Carolina, a graduate of Duke University and the Harvard Law School. He is recognized by best lawyers in America for corporate law. A fun fact about Ken is that he loves The Wire, which has one of my favorite actors, Idris Elba. Now, Bobby Robinson, a friend of mine, recently joined Nexsen Pruet and focuses his practice in the areas of corporate and intellectual property. He assists clients in a wide range of businesses and IP matters, including business formations, commercial agreements, mergers and acquisitions, trademark, copyright, social media, and FTC endorsements, disclosure, regulatory compliance, as well as serving as outside general counsel. Bobby is a very entrepreneurial-focused attorney and passionate about technology and innovation. Before joining Nexsen Pruet, Bobby was an MBE with CVMSDC as the founder of a boutique law firm and the founder of a legal technology company, IntelliDoc. Bobby is deeply involved in the Charlotte startup and business ecosystem. With a law degree from Charlotte School of Law, a master's of public administration from Columbia Southern University, and a master of business administration finance from Everest University, Bobby is passionate about our topic today, the growth of minority businesses. If he's not building or creating a business, you will find him on a jet ski, his favorite pastime. Now, we're going to get into CVMSDC because some of our listeners are not familiar with our organization. So, Taya, I need to get back to that screen. 1 second. Technical difficulties today. Let's see. Where are we?
Can you see Dominique?
I can't see you just yet. 1 second. Okay, I see it now. Thank you so much, Taya. So I always like to share the mission of our organization, and it's here on the screen. It's to expand business opportunities for minority business enterprises, we call them MBEs, and create mutually beneficial links between corporate partners and MBEs. The ultimate outcome is to add economic value to the supply chain while increasing economic opportunity in the business community. And the way in which we're structured is we have corporate partners. So Nexsen Pruet is one of our corporate partners. We've added 10 new corporate partners this year. So we're excited to present these opportunities to our MBEs. On the left, you see our MBEs. We have over 12,000 MBEs nationwide. And we're structured with 6 rings. In each of our geographic locations, we have a ring structure. I like to call that the small work group of our organization. And there you have corporate leaders and MBEs who come together each month to work on the business of CVMSDC. And Bobby's involved in the Metrolina ring. In the middle, obviously, you have the council, and then at the bottom, you have our community partners, such as our chambers and other community partners. So this is how we're structured, but our work is covered over 4 pillars of work. So the first pillar of work is certification. We are the largest certifying agency of minority-owned businesses in America. We have over 12,000 members, as I share with you. But once you get certified, what's really important to a company like Nexsen Pruet is to make sure that our MBEs are developed. Ken, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go through the next few slides, and then I'm getting ready to turn it over to the two of you. So development is key for us. We like to make sure that our MBEs, just like a car needs a tune-up, are continuously learning. So we have several developmental programs that are available. And then connection, which is what you all are here for today, is learning how to connect with companies like Nexsen Pruet. So we bring everybody together in a minimum of 4 major events per year so that you can connect via matchmaking with our corporations to learn how to do business with them. And then advocacy, just based on the sheer size of our network with over 12,000 members nationwide, we can advocate for you on a national, regional, and local level. So that's us in a nutshell. I do want to add that we have MBEs from startup, under $1 million, to in the billions. You can see here on this slide, Jeff Foster, he is a tier 1 supplier to BMW. Glenn Gonzalez, he just moved his business from under 10 million to over 10 million. He has a private jet company. And one of my favorites, Janice Bryant Howard, she was the first African-American woman to build $1 billion company. And all of these are our MBEs. So when people say, I can't find somebody to do what I need to have done, it's just not true. You need to be able to reach out to an advocacy group like ours, and we can connect you with those businesses that are available to help you meet your goals. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Bobby and Kim, who are going to share with you today a topic that is most important, especially during this time where businesses are learning how to pivot. It's next level minority supplier growth. So without further ado, Ken, you want to kick it off?
Sure, Dominique. Thanks so much. We are really happy to be a part of this Lunch and Learn and to be a new member of the CVMSDC. We, as you know, our firm is very committed to providing the best legal services that we can, and Bobby and I are especially interested in minority businesses. I have practiced law here in North Carolina for the last 32 years and have had a broad set of opportunities to work with minority businesses, both as a lawyer, but also as an advocate, trying to create broader opportunities. So we're really happy to be a part of this organization. We look forward to getting to know your members that haven't been getting to know us and working together for our mutual success. So let's see. We're going to talk a little bit about the firm and then a little bit about a topic related to that we think will be of interest to this organization and its members. But no lawyer talk can begin without a legal disclaimer. So I'll give the legal disclaimer here. Our talk will be for informational purposes only. We're not giving any legal advice, and it goes without saying that you should consult an attorney if you have a matter involving the topics that we are discussing here. And we hope that if your matter involves an area that we have expertise in, and you'll think of us. And if you don't have expertise in it, we'll help find someone for you who does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next slide.
Thank you. So Bobby, I'm hearing a feedback from Ken. Are you hearing that? Because he's not coming across as clear as we need. Bobby?
Yeah, there's somewhat of a feedback, Ken.
I wonder maybe sometimes if those who are not talking are muted, that may help with the feedback.
Good point. Yeah, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I think that certainly helped. All right, Ty, we can go to the next slide. All right, so we're going to give a quick overview of Nexsen Pruet. I'm the new guy. I've been at the firm for about 5 months now, as Dominique indicated. I was a previous MBE certified through the council, so this is certainly very near and dear to my heart. So The firm has been around for 75 years. We're a multidisciplinary law firm, and we tend to represent companies in a variety of different industries, from tech to construction. We're a regional firm. We have 8 offices throughout the Carolinas with over 200 legal professionals. So to Ken's point, if it's something that we can't take on personally, there's probably a high probability someone in the firm that can support that matter. We've been recognized nationally on a number of different practice areas, from corporate to M&A. But one of the things that was really instrumental in terms of me leaning into Nexsen Pruet is how we think about innovation. So one of many of initiatives we have is our GC 360. GC stands for General Counsel 360. It's a customized
No, Bobby, we lost you for a second.
Ken's gonna have to take over because we've lost Bobby.
Yeah, we've lost you, Bobby. Ken, can you unmute?
is our commitment to diversity, not just within the legal profession, but also the business community. And that's what this whole presentation is about. And so Ken's going to talk about the firm's commitment to diversity, not just internally, but also considerations from a minority vendor perspective.
Next slide, please. So I've been with the firm now for just under 5 years, and during that time I have co-chaired our diversity and inclusion committee. The firm is committed to diversity and inclusion. Like many large law firms, we're on the path of doing better. And one of the things I'm very proud of is that our firm has made some real gains in attracting talented African American and other diverse lawyers. And one of our recent acquisitions is Bobby. We're very happy to have Bobby on board. As you may know, he has had a very successful law firm on his own, and he was able to build a very substantial practice and reputation. And we're very pleased to have added him to our team. One thing that Bobby and I share in our practices is that we both have been entrepreneurs ourselves. I ran a law firm, started and ran a law firm for 12 years in Raleigh and Durham, and then merged that firm into another firm in the Triangle. So we both have had the path of being minority-owned running minority-owned law firms, and having experience of being a diverse supplier ourselves. Our firm, in addition to focusing on attracting diverse talent, is also interested in doing business with minority vendors. We don't have a program per se for that, but we are always looking for opportunities to engage with outside contractors for a variety of things. Just this week, for example, I had an opportunity to engage with and discuss hiring a minority vendor who was in the translation business, translating documents into English, into other languages. That's an example of the kind of legal kind of services that a law firm might need. I mean, we need court reporters. We obviously consume lots of paper and have lots of business machinery. And all those are opportunities for suppliers. And so we would encourage you, if you are supplying products that you think might be of interest to a law firm, please reach out to us and let's engage in a discussion about whether we have a need and an opportunity for you here.
And I'll go ahead and add that while the program isn't formal, Ken and I are certainly abreast to opportunities that may arise. We had one opportunity when we were looking for a diversity and inclusion consultant. I also reached into Dominique and requested a few names, some of which that were provided I was already aware of, but wanted to just make sure there wasn't another firm that I should be aware of that we should put before the firm. So those opportunities will flow as needed.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll just add another maybe not so obvious way that I think we can be of service to you is that we also are represent clients in a variety of industries, and our clients are also purchasing goods and services. And so the more that we know about what you have to offer, then we can be mindful of opportunities to bring up your company and give you an opportunity to pitch your goods and services, perhaps to our clients. So I find often that people don't think about the position of lawyers in as broad a way as they could. We touch a lot of areas. In addition to providing strict legal services, we are also trusted advisors to a large spectrum of the business community, and that can provide opportunities for others. And so I would encourage you to think of us as potential business partners for you who can help identify opportunities and making introductions that could be profitable for you.
Absolutely.
I think the slide shown here is the slide that just want to touch on briefly. So one of the things that we're really proud of, and I think this is unique for our firm, is that we have been able to assemble a number of African American transactional lawyers, and lawyers who aren't courtroom lawyers, but are lawyers who engage in business transactions. And so the slide here, in addition to Bobby and myself, the slide here shows Ashley Green, who is an associate in our Greensboro office, a former litigator who is now a M&A and corporate lawyer. Yolanda Davis in our Charlotte office, who has an accounting background, worked for a big accounting firm, and then went back to law school and is now a transactional corporate lawyer and business lawyer in our Charlotte office. And then Brian Lewis. Brian is a intellectual property and business lawyer in our Raleigh office. So we have a really strong team, and each of these team members are, like Bobby and I, share a commitment to growing the pie and creating more opportunities for minority-owned businesses.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken. So Ty, yeah, there you go.
So I want to talk, to move to our section of our presentation that we think will, touch upon some opportunities that you perhaps have not considered. I want to talk to you a little bit about the challenges of growing minority suppliers and what we see as a potential next level opportunity for minority suppliers in growing. So what are some of the challenges? One of the challenges is the consolidation of suppliers. I'm sure you have encountered this if you're providing supplies to large companies. Lots of large companies are deciding that they want to consolidate their supply chain and work with fewer suppliers. And so whenever the supply chain, whenever the pool of suppliers is diminishing, that creates greater competition and it's a potential threat to minority suppliers. Pricing pressures. Obviously, companies are always looking to cut costs, and particularly in times like these where the economy is slowing. So there are pricing pressures on suppliers, and when you're a small supplier, your ability to absorb price cuts or your ability to often to competitively price your goods and services can be a challenge. And then thirdly, the need for scale. This is related to the consolidation of suppliers. Companies are wanting to have suppliers who can handle larger pieces of business. They reduce the number of suppliers. If they need suppliers who are dependable and who have the ability to operate at scale. Each of these present potential problems for all suppliers, but some of these problems are even more acute for minority suppliers, which often are smaller.
Thanks, Ken. So with that background of representing some potential challenges, we wanted to provide just some insight into what are the options for growth? How do most MBEs grow? And there are really two paths, right? So there's the organic path of winning more business through your strategy, whether it's retaining the clients that you have and then growing your client base. But then there's this notion of inorganic growth, looking at how do you build capacity to expand either geographically or from a client base perspective. And joint ventures and acquisitions could certainly help you achieve your inorganic growth strategy. And so we're going to spend some time, at least for this presentation, really looking at how do you leverage JVs and acquisitions to go to the next level? All right, so before we do that, we thought it would be helpful to provide a foundational understanding, because a lot of these, what we know in the profession are strategic alliances, and there are a number of others, teaming agreements and collaboration agreements and things of that nature. But certainly from a partnership perspective, we wanted to hone in on these. So a joint venture at its core is just two companies that have decided to come together to achieve a desired outcome, right? So you may, in some instances, have these two companies that will create a third JV entity for that purpose. So an example of that would be you get two general contractors that form a JV to pursue a bid on a specific construction project, right? So it's very tailored and very specific to that particular project. On the other hand, you have a merger where you have two companies that fully combine to create a new entity, and those, what we know as legacy entities, will be dissolved. A recent example is BB&T and SunTrust. So as you know, they've just recently merged, and what came out of that is Pruet, which is a newly combined entity. So that would be a classic example of a merger. On the other hand, an acquisition could occur if you have an entity that either purchases all or some of the assets of another business. And obviously, if they purchase all of it, then that other company will likely dissolve. An example of that would be Facebook. Facebook acquired Instagram. However, Instagram didn't dissolve as a brand. Facebook now is the parent company of Instagram, right? So that would be an example of an acquisition. So when you're thinking about, well, how do I grow from a JV perspective or an M&A perspective, the idea here is to say one example, and Ken and I talked about this, you may start out as a joint venture. You guys, great opportunity to really understand each other's business models, to learn, develop the relationship, but then it may morph into a merger or an acquisition opportunity. And so Ken's going to talk through what some of those deal dynamics and considerations look like that may be on the table.
So acquisitions. We're going to talk a little bit about the deal dynamics in an acquisition. We only have here an hour for our total presentation. I can probably spend an hour on each of these bullet points. So this will admittedly be a quick summary, but I want to just pick your thoughts on these points. And obviously, if you find yourself having an opportunity or thinking about an opportunity, we can do a deeper dive with you. So to do an acquisition, money management, markets, and deal access. So these are the four items that I think you should think about as you think about an acquisition. Money. right? So to do a deal, you have to have access to capital. The point that I want to make here is that capital is widely available, and there are lots of reasons for that. But one thing I want to point out to you is that there is over $1.7 trillion in private equity capital on the sideline right now. These are pools of money in private equity firms that are looking to deploy that capital in privately owned businesses. That's an opportunity for you. And so often when we think about money, we think about bank financing, which often is a part of the capital stack. But the equity portion of this can be supplied through a private equity partner investor in your transaction. Our firm is, we're not bankers, but we have lots of relationships with private equity firms and bankers, and we're certainly happy to talk to you about any idea you have and help you to identify the right private equity fund to approach about your transaction. Management. In order to do a deal, you have to have the appropriate management team in place. This will be important for any banker, any private equity investor, or any banker that helps to finance a transaction. This will be important, obviously, to a seller, particularly if the seller is providing some seller financing itself, or has an earn-out where they're depending upon your success post-acquisition for part of their payment. They will all look for a strong management team. The point I want to make here is that in addition to the management strength that you already have, you can access additional management talent through often in the acquisition itself. That you can acquire a company and acquire management talent in the acquisition itself. So you should think broadly about management, about how you check the management box. In addition, there are lots of very experienced executives who have spun out of large companies in your industry who potentially can be tapped to be a part of your management team as you scale up to do an acquisition. Markets. The real point here on markets is that as you think about an acquisition, you have to think about what is going to be your growth strategy post-acquisition. Again, think about this through the lens of a private equity investor who's investing along with you. They're going to be looking to get a return on that investment within a defined period of time. And so in order to deliver that return, you have to be able to demonstrate to that private equity investor that you have a strategy for growing the company post-acquisition. And there are lots of strategies there. One strategy that I will point out to you is the opportunity to acquire a company, become a larger enterprise that can operate at greater scale, and thereby become a MBE of choice for that space. And so that's an opportunity to, where you can demonstrate that by growing, you will have access to new markets because you are an MBE and can provide scale that is increasingly required by large companies to be their suppliers. And then the last component here that I think you should think about as you contemplate a deal is, what is my deal access? How do I get access to a transaction? How do I discover where there's an opportunity for a transaction? How do I get access to a discussion that might lead to an actual deal?
So to continue on that same vein, when thinking about how do you access these opportunities, we laid out a couple of points to which that you should certainly consider. One being a business broker. There are business brokers out there who may list an opportunity that strategically aligns with your growth strategy. Many of the business brokers serve as intermediaries between the seller of that business and potential buyers. So there's certainly a good access point for you. Investment bankers is certainly another one. We learned during this pandemic how important it is to have a relationship with a banker, particularly for those that were looking to access PPP funding. But investment bankers certainly play a critical role in the funding of deals, but they could also bring you opportunities that haven't hit the market yet from a broker perspective. You also have industry groups and networking. These are great organizations. CVMSDC is a great industry group to find out if there may be other MBEs or non-MBEs that are looking from an acquisition perspective. And to Ken's point, your legal team and your accounting team is certainly great folks to tap. We get a number of deals that cross our desk all the time. And if we're aware that you are looking to grow and there's a good fit there, we could certainly help you with that particular transaction.
So I want to talk a little bit about how a large company, can be a catalyst for supplier diversity deals. So just to paint the picture a bit more, let's assume that you are supplying services or goods to a large company. You should think of that large company as a potential catalyst for a deal for you, an acquisition deal for you. And if you are a minority supplier professional at a large company, one of the things that I think you should think about is, what are opportunities that I have in this position to create an acquisition opportunity for an MBE. So let's talk a little bit about how that might work. So in any acquisition, the significant customers of the seller are critical. So if you are acquiring a business, you're wanting to be able to capture the market opportunity that business creates. So that business is growing, creating revenues, and you want to be able to, post-acquisition, be able to continue receiving those revenues, maintain the customers of the existing business, and then grow it. And so any significant customer of that business that you are planning to acquire plays a significant role in the transaction. You're going to want to know that post-transaction, I can keep that customer. And so that is, that critical piece provides potentially an opportunity for that customer, big company, to be a catalyst for a transaction. So one way that big company can be a catalyst for a transaction is to be a matchmaker. So again, if you're a large company, you have a supplier, you have an interest in maintaining a good quality supplier. And so if you are aware that your supplier, for example, may be aging, or the owner of your supplier may be aging, may not have kids or management team members who can take over the company, then one role you can play is to help be a matchmaker, help that vendor of yours find an acquirer. And so that's an opportunity where you could perhaps provide that deal access for a MBE. For the seller of the company, that it would be a welcome conversation. One is you are potentially providing a buyer for their business, but you also would be the company who was matchmaking here would also be addressing another significant issue in a transaction. When you're selling a company, one of the issues is what is the value of this business, right? And the seller obviously wants a valuation as high as possible. And thinking about the value of the business, one significant component is, well, will this business be able to maintain its client and customer base post-acquisition? To the extent there's a question about whether or not this customer will remain post-acquisition, that lowers the potential valuation of the business because there's more risk associated with acquiring the business. To the extent that there is greater certainty around the customer remaining as a customer post-acquisition, that tends to support a higher valuation because you remove the risk that the buyer has that they would lose this customer post-acquisition. So the seller of a business would welcome greater certainty of a customer that will remain with the company post-acquisition, and that is a potential opportunity again for that customer, large company, to leverage their position to provide deal access for an MBE. So finally, from the perspective of the business, again, this is the perspective of the large company and MBE professionals. If you can help to provide deal access and an opportunity for an MBE to purchase an existing supplier, then you have converted an existing supplier from a non-MBE supplier to an MBE supplier. So you've taken, so you created value for your company. Not only have you retained a supplier that your company depends on for its business, but you've now converted that supplier or helped to convert that supplier from a non-MBE supplier to an MBE supplier, thereby furthering your company's supplier diversity goals. Next slide. So just to wrap this up, and we hope that some of what we said will spark some questions on your part. We can dive more deeply into these points. Growth by acquisition. You have a great opportunity to grow your business, not only organically by increasing your sales, but to grow your business inorganically by acquiring another company. There's a tremendous opportunity, we believe, as business owners are aging, for suppliers to be converted from non-MBE suppliers to an MBE supplier. I think that's a great opportunity that exists right now. I'll just make a point here about demographics. As many of you probably know, the population in the U.S. is the work population is aging, and that includes owners of privately held businesses. And so we're going to see the transfer of business ownership in the next decade at a scale that we've never seen in the country before. So that is an opportunity for growth through acquisition. Deal access, just a real point here is a real important point here is that your supplier, the supplier's customer, can be an important player in providing you with deal access. So in addition to tapping the resources of investment bankers or professionals, personal service providers, your customers can be an important player in creating deal access for you. And this is a win-win-win. It's a win for the supplier who is selling their business. They're getting liquidity, selling their business. It's a win for the supplier's customer, the big business, because they're able to convert a non-MBE to an MBE. And it's a win for the MBE because they're able to grow their business, get greater scale, and be in a position to perhaps be an MBE of choice, to other companies. So that concludes our formal presentation. Again, we hope that some of what we said has sparked some thoughts for you. And if you have questions, we would love to hear them and engage in a dialogue around this topic.
Thank you, Ken and Bobby. The topic that you've discussed today, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, the topic we discussed today is great because, in this time where we all need to be thinking about pivoting, we need to make a paradigm change, right? A paradigm change so that we're thinking about how to grow our businesses outside of the norm. I want to definitely have you come back when we go into BOC next year, because I'm having a $1 billion mindset as the topic, right? How do you move from where you are right now to billions? And you don't do that by spinning your wheels and working 9 to 5 every day. You do it by what you just presented today: joint ventures, acquisitions, and mergers. That's how our largest minority-owned companies have been established. And a great example would be Sodexo Magic, right? Sodexo, Magic Johnson owns, he created this company with a joint venture, and now he can go after huge contracts with Sodexo Magic. Sodexo still exists, but you also have Sodexo Magic over here on the side. So a joint venture doesn't have to be small. It can be of any scale, right? And that's a large example of a joint venture. So the other thing that I think is important for our audience is that, as we have experienced the situation we're in right now, you have to be able to control your supply chain. And a way in which you can control your supply chain is to, take on ownership of different pieces of that supply chain. So a completely different mindset that our MBEs need to be thinking about. So questions from the audience, Taya?
Indeed. And thank you for that great presentation, Ken and Bobby. One question is, when should a company engage in hiring an attorney? Make sure you're unmuted.
So one thing that I encourage business owners to do is to develop a relationship with lawyers before you have a need. And so just have a relationship with lawyers so that you get to know what their expertise is. They get to know a little bit about your business. You get to have a feel for each other. And you can do that at a really no cost, to you. I was going to say you can buy a lawyer coffee, but typically we'll buy you coffee. So not only is that not cost for you, you probably can get a free meal out of it. But because we're looking to establish relationships as well. But don't wait until you actually have a transaction on the table. Start developing a relationship early with a lawyer. I think there are a couple of reasons to do that. In addition to the ones that I mentioned. One is you can learn a lot just by talking to a lawyer, just having an informal conversation that we'll just we have information to share that will give you that will often give you insight that you may not have had. So you can just get so it's not pretty legal advice per se, but you can get just good orientation toward matters related to the law, related to business, just by having a relationship and conversation, even a very informal conversation, with an experienced business lawyer. So I think that's that's my first piece of advice. Secondly, I'd say when you have a transaction, get your lawyer involved as soon as possible. I often see people who come to me with a term sheet they've already negotiated and signed with their buyer or seller, and I see lots of issues that I would have addressed in that term sheet. But once that term sheet is signed and die is cast, it is really hard to unring that bell. And so people think, well, I'm not going to really get the lawyer involved yet because I just need the lawyer to draft the documents. I'm going to do all the business deals, business terms myself. That's a mistake. You should get the lawyer involved at the very beginning to help you think about that transaction, even if that lawyer is working in the background and not directly with your counterparty. they're advising you and making sure that you are at every step in the process thinking ahead and engaging in strategic thinking that will be beneficial to you in the transaction.
That's good. That's good. And I also hope that our listeners heard that there's more than just law resources available with your lawyer. You talked about access to venture capitalists, which I hadn't thought about before, coming to you all to find out what venture capital is available. I think that businesses often make the mistake, especially minority businesses, when they talk about their funding, they spend all their money, right? And then they go looking for funding, and that's just too late. So the same thing happens with your lawyer. You come to your lawyer, as you said, a little bit too late. We just had a session recently on relationship banking. We need to think about relationship legal support, right? So you need to have that relationship with your lawyer the same way you have it with your barber or your hairdresser, that you can call them up and have, conversations about what if and what should I do before you even get entangled in a matter. So that's good. Thank you for that, Kim.
And Dominique, before we move on, the only thing I'll add to that, and just purely coming from the MBE perspective, because there's always these misnomers about the engagement of a lawyer, right? And I can't tell you to underpin Ken's initial thought is that there are a number of transactions where we could have saved our clients hundreds and thousands of dollars because they were structured improperly, right? And it's avoidance of, I don't want to talk to a lawyer because they're too expensive, or I don't want to talk to a lawyer because of, so I always say, look, you're going to pay something on the front end, but that back end is significant if it's wrong, right? And so I think we have to have a level of appreciation and the value that we place on the expertise of Ken and I and others on our team when it comes to scaling a business to billions, right? How we think about that and how we structure that is significantly different when we're starting out, right? And there's these mechanisms that we tweak along the way. And I think leaning into that expertise cannot be understated as you begin to strategically grow.
Thank you for adding to that, Bobby. And another point is just don't be intimidated, right? Just because, some people are intimidated by their doctors, by their lawyer. Don't be intimidated, right? We're human beings here, and we all have the same.
Smile.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Taya?
Yes, another question is, do you handle M&A between U.S. and international business?
You want to take that?
Yes, absolutely. And an increasing amount of work that we do is international in nature. I think I mentioned just at the outset of talking with an MBA company that provided translation services, right? And so increasingly we're finding ourselves engaged in international transactions. So our firm has offices, as Bobby mentioned, in 8 cities across North and South Carolina. But we also belong to a network of lawyers around the world. And so we have affiliate relationships with lawyers around the world. So if we have a transaction in Dubai, then we have lawyers within our network who we can affiliate to work on those transactions. So that gives us an ability to transact deals throughout the world.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And Ken, I want to applaud you as a partner for driving diversity in your organization. Because some people think about diversity in a bubble, right? Diversity of just suppliers, but we're talking about diversity of employees, as you have shared with us, diversity of customers, diversity of opportunity, and then diversity of suppliers. And so I applaud your organization for making sure that you are intentional in your efforts there. So Ty, are there any other questions?
Yes, there is one final question, Dominique, and it's, when engaging Nexsen Pruet, does the firm offer alternative fees or pricing?
Yes, the firm does offer alternative fees and pricing, and it's something that we take very seriously. In fact, we have on staff in our firm a professional who is trained and certified in alternative fee arrangements. And so we are willing to consider a variety of fee arrangements, from flat fees to structured fees to volume discounts, to risk sharing fees. We pride ourselves in being innovative in thinking about alternative fees and really trying to find a fee structure that that is value added to our clients. So I think that's one of the real benefits of the approach that we take, is that we're trying to align ourselves with our clients, so that we are not only delivering quality legal services, but we're doing so in a way that allows them to meet their business objectives, and we do that in ways that require us to take on shared risk with our clients.
Excellent, excellent, very good. Bobby, I need you to put your entrepreneurial hat on and talk to us, and I don't want any legal advice, but talk to us about the first step a company should take, a business should take when they're thinking about incorporating. Aside from just calling you, but what should they be putting together so that they can sit down and have a meeting with you?
Yeah, I think for the first thing that cannot be understated is certainly the business planning process, right? And then through that business planning process, it allows us to evaluate, obviously, the risks that are associated with your offerings, right? And that risk is certainly instructive in terms of how we then should think about what's the best entity arrangement for you, right? Whether it's, an LLC, C Corp, S Corp, we begin to, walk through that process, but we need to understand what the vision is, right? What's the vision? Where are you trying to go with it? Are there partners involved? Are you thinking about taking on investment? How are you funding it? So all of those things we need to really start to think about on the front end. That way it's very instructive as an entrepreneur when having that conversation with a lawyer. And as an entrepreneur and a lawyer myself, I tend to call lawyers myself, right? When I started my tech company, I never started a technology company before. So I called a lawyer. Hey, can you walk me through this? And so those things are important, right? To really start to think about. But so that would be the value add that I would contend to say that, that business planning portion is instrumental. Ken?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I like to tell stories. And when I was starting up a business with my husband, we hired an attorney, and he made the documents so airtight that when we were ready to shut down the business, we were free and clear of any obligation, that the landlord was trying to come after us, that we didn't even exist, right? Because he had set it up so tightly. And so that's just, a success story on our part, that we didn't lose money on the back end because we invested in upfront with our attorney to make sure it was airtight. Would you all like to share any stories on how you have helped businesses? I know you client confidentiality, but you can just keep it neutral.
Company A, company B. Well, I'll tell you just kind of and this maybe will give a little insight into my mindset, as I deal with clients. So I mentioned that I was an entrepreneur myself. I started a law firm. Before that, I was a partner at a large law firm in Charlotte, so I started my career there as an associate, in 1987, and then became a partner. When I was at that large firm, business would just sort of come in. Like you're a big firm, you're an associate of a big firm, and someone would give you a matter. So you always sort of had business sort of coming in over the transit. I said it's almost like like a factory, an assembly line. Every day there was something to work on. When I started my firm, I had no clients. I had no clients. I went from being a partner in a big law firm. I had some clients I thought might come, but I didn't know whether they'd come or not. So I had no clients. Fortunately, some of those clients did come, so I did have a few clients. But I was building, and about a year into it, I realized, there's no one's ever going to just send me business because my name is on the door. Like there's no sort of brand out here that just brings business over the transit every day. And I recall having a really funny thought driving to work one day, and the thought was, I could starve, and the world would continue to function. Like no one would care. Like I was like, the world would just, would continue to function. And so that insight really changed my mindset toward the way I approach my practice. And what I realized was that, I was a business lawyer. And so for me to have clients, I needed to have clients that needed a business lawyer. And so I started taking the approach of any clients I had, I learned as much as I could about their business and what they were trying to accomplish and how they were trying to grow. And I became almost like a business development professional for them. I tried to find new opportunities for them, whether they're customers. I tried to find. I looked at their balance sheet. If I thought they needed to recapitalize, I would introduce to them bankers or other private equity investors. I really just tried to figure out how can I add as much value to my business, to my clients, so that they could be successful. One, I just like helping people, but also if they were successful, I could be successful, right? And so that mindset of adding value is the same mindset that I have today. And what I discovered about it is I actually like that part of the practice as much as anything else. I like being in the saddle with my clients and helping them think about their businesses. And so I guess my way of answering that question is, if a client is willing to share with me their goals and aspirations for their business, I am willing and happy to look at whatever resources are available to me through my relationships, through my firm, through my knowledge to help them grow their businesses.
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. And that's a great segue to what I call VIP membership with CVMSDC for our MBEs as well as our corporate partners. And that V stands for value, always bringing value to the table. As a corporate partner, you bring value to our MBEs. As our MBEs, they're bringing value to you, our corporate partner. And then two, I act with intentionality. Everything that you do should be intentional, be it your diversity program, be it who you do a joint venture with, whether you're doing a merger or acquisition. You're very intentional about how you're going to grow your business. And then the P is power, tapping into the power of this network. We've been in business over 48 years with over 12,000 customers. There's power in that. And so for our MBEs and our corporate partners to tap in as a VIP member, there's a huge amount of value that we can grow together with. So I'm going to close it out here. Bobby Robinson is going to be a guest speaker at our upcoming event in December. So I want to cue that up. December 2nd and 3rd, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of our Re-Emerge event. We're going to have workshops to help develop our MBEs. We're going to have matchmaking sessions, general matchmaking, and this year we're also adding a construction matchmaking session where anybody who can support construction can come together with those entities that are looking to build out. And Bobby will be one of our speakers sharing some information on legal strategies. And I know you can't get legal advice, but legal strategy, right, for businesses. This has been very rich today. We've stretched the minds of our viewers to think outside of the box, to think with $1 billion mindset about how they can grow their business. So I thank you, gentlemen, for sharing today. Any closing comments, Bobby?
No, thank you so very much for the opportunity. One of my first orders of business when I joined the firm was to get them to become members. So this was a huge success, and I'm excited about the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Closing comments, Ken? We lost you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Just thank you again for the opportunity to be with you today. We're looking forward to be more involved and actively involved with your organization and getting to know your members and adding as much value as we can. So we're very excited about this new relationship going forward.
Thank you. We're excited to have Nexsen Pruet as one of our 10 new corporations in 2020. Gentlemen, it's a wrap.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.